Hey, welcome. Hi, Star Sits, your boy Mack and Lando here to hold it down, get you ready for the second last week of the regular fantasy season. Got my guy. How's it going, Lando?
Mac, I'm doing good. I can't wait to go through the Sunday slate with you. We've got some great matches. This is the time to get in the fantasy playoffs. I expect today to be very busy. We're here every single Sunday grinding for you. So for a little thank you, toss us a like, smash that subscribe button, and we'll get to your questions. If you do want your questions answered right away, toss us a super chat. It helps the show. It gets your questions answered right away. And it's a little thank you for Mac and I grinding with you every single Sunday. Mac, how are you doing?
I'm good. Finally back, fully healthy. I should get like my own sleeper update. Breaking. Mac from the Snap Fantasy Football Podcast is upgraded from questionable to healthy.
Man,
I can't be a full go in today's stream.
I've had just mucus pouring out of me every single day these past like two and a half weeks. Brutal.
Yeah, not fun. Not great. But hey, we're back, and what better time to gain full health, full energy than the week before the fantasy playoffs?
Yeah.
It's fantastic. We're going to go through really quick the ins and outs for this week and then get to all of your start sit questions for week 13. I think it's important to start with the big ones. We got 6 minutes ago confirmation that Joe Mixon is highly unlikely to play this week against Kansas City. If you've been riding Samaje Perine, you can probably stick with him, as this game is projected to be a fantasy affair, let's just say.
Yes.
Jamar Chase coming back as well, expected to play. So Joe Mixon's probably the big one here of guys that you'll be without this week.
Yeah. We just got a notification that Michael Carter is out. He has been declared out. So if you picked up Zonovan Knight, I think that is the one to start. Yes, I do believe that James Robinson is active for this game. But if you had to pick between the two right now, I'm going Zonovan Knight. Maybe we'll have questions about that later. I don't feel confident starting James Robinson at all. So if you have him, I would just sit him down until we really see the workload split. But yeah, James Robinson is a sit for me in all formats.
Najee Harris says that he will play today against Atlanta. The question is, will he play in your lineup?
That is the question, isn't it? And I don't want him to play. I think it will be more of a split backfield. So if you have Najee Harris, you're probably not making the playoffs this year. He's been one of the most disappointing players so far. He has been better lately. Getting in the end zone last week was great, and I think the week before as well. But I do not want to start a banged-up Najee Harris. Benny Snell, Jalen Warren will both be involved in that backfield, and they don't score enough points for three backs to be fantasy relevant.
Other than that, really, we have a lot of good news this week. We've got Jerry Jeudy listed as questionable, is expected to make his return this week against the Ravens. That's a lot of fun. We had Antonio Gibson listed as questionable today. He's expected to play against the Giants. Then you've got first-round pick Jameson Williams, former Alabama standout wide receiver, going to make his season debut today, or expected to, against the Jags, which should be a fun-filled fantasy matchup there. We just got good news. Left, right, center, Justin Fields, no injury designation, expected to play against the Packers. Should be a lot of fun. Jamar Chase coming back, like we said. There's a lot of good news here today.
Yeah. Deebo Samuel, who's been questionable all week, was leaning towards being out due to a quad injury, is expected to play, Mac. And we were talking a little bit off camera about Deebo Samuel. I expect there to be lots of questions about him. I am going to temper expectations for Deebo. You might not have a better option on your roster, and he still has upside even when he's banged up. It feels like he lives on the injury report, but what's your expectations towards Deebo Samuel? Are you going to just close your eyes and start him regardless because of a potentially really good game against the Dolphins? Or are you going to put in alternatives?
Yeah, so I own Debo Samuel in 2 leagues. They're both one's redraft, one is dynasty. In the dynasty league, I have pivoted to Jamar Chase.
Oh,
So
lovely.
my level of confidence for Jamar is that he could have a wide receiver 1 performance, be like a top 12 guy this week. He realistically sits between like 12 and 15 for me, whereas Debo with any limitation could be outside of the top 24. The other guy that I have swapped him out for is Keenan Allen.
Two
So
very good
I have
options.
two very good options.
Hmm.
Would I be willing to go down as far as, let's say, like a Garrett Wilson or a Tyler Lockett or a Brandon Ayuk, in the same matchup on his team? Would I go with Brandon Ayuk over Debo Samuel? And I think this week I would.
Yeah, I would say yes to all three of those over
Yeah.
Debo Samuel.
Yeah.
Guys like Cortland Sutton, I'm not going to play over him. Alan Lazard, Deontay Johnson,
What about
Adam
Michael
Thielen.
Pittman?
That's a tough one. Michael Pittman was my start of the week last week, but it was really because of Pittsburgh's poor secondary, and he got in the end zone. He didn't have the game I thought he might,
Sure.
but that was really because Matt Ryan was just under so much pressure all game. TJ Watt being back, it does wonders for Pittsburgh and that defense. But against a tough matchup at Dallas, who also has a very good pass rush, um, I think that's a coin flip. I would probably just play the healthier player, which is Pittman.
Last thing I want to go over before we jump into your start sit questions. Deshaun Watson making his season debut today
Right.
against the Houston Texans on the road. Should be he should get a very warm welcome there in Houston. Should be a lot of fun. Where do we have him ranked this week? Is he inside the top 12, outside the top 12? What would you be willing to bet on this week for Deshaun Watson?
I do have him ranked inside the top 12
Oh
this
boy.
week. So I would play him in the same range as Tom Brady, Kirk Cousins, Jimmy
Okay.
Garoppolo, kind of that area.
Yep.
So Houston does not give up a lot to the quarterback and wide receivers, but that's only because
They
that
don't
they
have
give
to.
up a ton to the running back.
The game
Uh,
script, right?
no one is forced to pass the football against him.
Right.
Them. There's narrative street. Yeah, I kind of have to go down narrative street to really have a ton of confidence in Deshaun Watson on
Sure.
both sides. He
Yep.
hasn't played football in 2 years. He's going to be super rusty, and then Houston is going to want this game more. Like they don't try every other game, Mac. Like that narrative, I
Yeah.
think, is just so like, oh, they're going to get up for this game and really, really try more against Deshaun Watson. I don't know if I really believe that. And then
No.
there's the sense of Deshaun Watson coming back to Houston and wanting to show how good he is, and the coaching staff wanting to prove that he's deserve it of all those hundreds of millions of dollars and all the first round picks. Even if they're on the goal line, why not just pass it to Donovan Peoples-Jones or Amari Cooper? So have him throw 3 or 4 touchdowns against his old team. You kind of have to pick a road to go down, Mac, and I think both could be viable. And I think I will start him. If you have been hanging on to him all year or picked him up off waivers, and you maybe had an Aaron Rodgers type on your team, Mac Jones, I mean, they played already, Taylor Heineke, and you grabbed a Deshaun Watson, you have some confidence.
Mm-hmm.
But if you have one of those studs like Dak Prescott, even Trevor Lawrence, Lamar Jackson, Justin Fields, I wouldn't be starting Deshaun over those guys.
Agreed. I agree. All right, let's jump into your questions. As always, we get to every single question today, so no need to spam the chat. Put your questions in more than once. We will get to them in sequential order. If you are not willing to wait, your patience is running thin, toss a little super chat. Just $1 goes a long way. If you want to go more, that's cool. But we will go to that right away. As always, a like on the video goes a long way to supporting the channel, as well as subscribing. We will jump in with our supporters, our Snap Army members. We got Griff here in first. He's on a road trip today. So he's going to go ahead and get his questions in. Standard league projected to win, needs running back, wide receiver, and a flex. So a pick 3 situation here. Godwin, Debo, Walker, ETN, Wilson Jr., Terry McLaurin, and I going to say Christian Watson.
Yeah. Godwin, Walker, and ETN
Yes.
for me.
That's where I would go as well. Debo, I think, in this group is an easy sit. Godwin for the volume, Walker for the explosiveness. I hope he can return to form today. And then ETN, I have no issues. I think he'll be right back to where he was.
Yeah, Jeff Wilson is a tough one. I am forced to start him. I see some Jeff Wilson questions here from Sleek in the chat, and it's a tough 49ers defense, but I do think that because they're going to score enough points, he's going to be a viable start.
Sure.
But it's just Mostert is off the injury report. He will be worked in. It's going to be a tough game. I don't know if I have super high expectations for that Miami backfield right now.
I mean, we were kind of right there last week with Jeff Wilson, got into the end zone. Things were looking great. Then he kind of left the game and never was the same.
Yeah.
But we got Easy Daddy. Start, sit, 3 questions. Wow, just loading up, Eric. Full PPR projected to lose on the playoff bubble, DeAndre Carter or Deontay Johnson? I will go with Deontay Johnson there.
Yeah, in a full PPR league, it's definitely closer.
Cole Kmet or Evan Ingram? I think I'm going to go Evan Ingram.
Yeah, it's good. I think that's not a bad one. The projected over-under for that game is pretty high. So I like Evan Ingram, sure.
And then pick one between Pacheco, Jeff Wilson, or David Montgomery. I'm going David Montgomery.
Yeah.
We know the Green Bay Packers cannot stop the run. And between Justin Fields and David Montgomery, they should be able to get it going.
Yeah, sounds good. We got Neon that actually got in there early there, Mac.
Yeah, sorry. I was just looking down here for any more Snap Army members. We do not. So, Chris, we're going to come back to you, but we'll go to Neon here. Star 2 in a full PPR, Najee Harris, Tony Pollard, or Courtland Sutton.
Tony Pollard is the must play out of those options.
Yep.
And then it's neither Najee or Sutton I have very much confidence in.
I thought you were going to say sit them both and just have an empty spot. You don't want either of them.
I don't like either of those players. I would I would just bench them and then think about Monday night and pick up a flyer on Monday night, a backup tight end.
I think here I'm willing to roll out Sutton. I think Najee Harris is probably going to be limited just due to his injury last week. And even if he does play a decent amount, let's acknowledge the fact that these guys, the Pittsburgh Steelers and Mike Tomlin, have been going to more of a committee approach, sharing the load between a couple backs. And, I don't know that I had confidence in Najee going into today had he not been injured. So I'm going to go with Pollard and Sutton. Hope that Sutton gets into the paint for me or, get some volume.
Sutton in PPR leagues, that's where it's closer. Najee hasn't been catching the ball as often either this year.
Yeah, it's been really gross for him.
Yeah.
Let's jump over to Chris's question here in a full PPR. Kamara, Sanders, and Montgomery. This is a good question.
This is a good question. Sanders having his career high in rush, like total yards in a game.
Yeah.
This is a tougher matchup, much tougher matchup this week for Miles Sanders. It's hard to stay out of the flames. But I think Montgomery's in a really good spot. And Kamara, who's been very disappointing, is still catching the football in PPR leagues.
That's what's saving him.
Yeah.
The Tampa Bay Bucks are definitely the hardest matchup. They are not world beaters like they once were defensively, but this game could be very defensive. Could be a slower paced game, as we often see between these two teams. I'm going to go with the Montgomery side here.
Yeah.
Even though Sanders has been great, the Tennessee Titans pose to be a decent matchup, a good opponent, let's just say, for Miles Sanders. So I'm going to go with Montgomery here. I think he's got the softest matchup of the three.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And with Fields being a little bit banged up, he might not be as run heavy as he once was. So that could lead Montgomery into the end zone.
Chris also asking for us to pick two in a full PPR, Cooper, Evans, and Juju.
Juju is going to be one of the hardest guys to get right. It's a great game, high over under game. He wasn't involved last week. He had limited snaps, but it's not far off to project him back to where he used to be and getting the targets he used to be. That was his first game back. Juju's one of those guys I say every week that you have to start him every week. You'll never get the big game. But Evans and Cooper kind of qualify for that as well.
I was going to say, we say that about Mike Evans all the time too.
Yeah.
Mike Evans is a guy, last 2 seasons, 13, 14 touchdowns. This year, he's sitting in the low single digits. Mike Evans just hasn't been your prototypical Mike Evans. So, is the big game coming for Mike Evans? Can they connect downfield? Can they connect in the red zone? I guess we'll see. I'm not sitting Amari Cooper with Deshaun Watson coming back. That was one sort of moment in the season I've been looking forward to. And not that he's been bad with Brissett, but I just think he's been good with Brissett. I hope that connection strengthens with Watson. Juju, I'm just going to sit down until I see more from him. So I'll go Cooper and Evans here.
Cooper and Evans, I think, is a good call.
Yep. Should I start Saquon or Kenneth Walker?
Both are very good options.
Very good.
I
Shallow
know
league for sure.
He does go on to say he's an underdog this week by 6 points. Also, thanks for the amazing stream every week. We'll really appreciate it. And you're very welcome, sir. I would like to know if this is a full PPR league because Saquon, I think, should catch more passes.
Sure.
The Rams defense, though, is completely banged up. The Rams offense is completely banged up. We saw Aaron Donald is out for at least 2 games, wants to come back in 2 games.
Yep.
Saquon has been bad.
Well, Saquon hasn't been bad. It just feels like teams are game planning so hard for Saquon Barkley that they've moved to using Matt Breida and Gary Brightwell as secondary and tertiary options. It's
later in the games.
Yeah.
Saquon's out.
Like change of pace back type deal. But when you look at Saquon's season, he gets a really good matchup 3 weeks ago against Houston, has 35 attempts on the ground, and then the last 2 weeks combined hasn't seen 35.
No.
His snap share is dropping because of what we're saying with these other backs. Now, Saquon Barkley is not gonna burn you per se, but we're looking for the bigger game here. I think it exists with Kenneth Walker. I'm going to go with Kenneth Walker here in this matchup. You want to see
he should be more efficient. Last week he was so bad, under 2 yards per carry, and that's not the end all be all when it comes down to it because he still had 2 touchdowns, which is great. But the next 2 games for Ken Walker, I think, could be league winning type performances.
Samaje or Jeff Wilson, half PPR, and Fields or Herbert?
Really good question, Alex. Thanks for coming by. I see your name here every single Sunday, so I appreciate you for coming in. I think
I'm going to go Samaje.
I would go Samaje as well.
Yeah.
He should have the backfield to himself, which is great news. Jeff Wilson is going to split it with Mostert. I mentioned earlier, Alex, that I'm forced to start Jeff Wilson, but I think I'm really hoping for a touchdown. I'm hoping for like the Devin Singletary type performance last week, which doesn't feel good. Let me tell you that.
Right.
I would go Samaje. And then
between Herbert and Fields,
I would go Herbert.
I would as well. I think we're tempted in Justin Fields with he's good to go against the Packers. The one thing we got to acknowledge for the Packers is that they shut down wide receivers and quarterbacks. And yes, Justin Fields is a bit of an anomaly with his mobility and they're bad against this year. Backs. Yeah, they're not good against the run. I've got to think that the game plan here is to try to make Justin Fields beat you with his arm. I would hope that's what the Packers are going to try to do. Whether they can execute it or not is another question, but it's a secondary you don't want to test too often, and I don't know that they have the weapons on the Chicago side to beat the Packers. So I would just go with Herbert. The game, interdivisional matchup, going to be really, really good. I hope Herbert can just kind of get it done.
For me, it's just the injury from Justin Fields. That's what's pulling me back. If
Yeah,
he had been healthy, I think because
closer.
he has those big, huge performances, like 40-point performances, I think that's where Herbert doesn't really have that yet this year. But because of that injury, he's kind of been rushed back. I didn't expect him to play this week because they have a bye next week.
Yeah.
So if he doesn't run as much as we're used to, and that's like 13, 15, 18 carries for Fields, that's where his
Hmm.
fantasy points are derived. You have to go with a guy now that has been very good with Keenan Allen back. We've seen how much he missed Keenan Allen the past 2 weeks. He's 3 touchdowns, 274 yards. That's what we missed from Justin Herbert when Keenan Allen was out. So despite what they've been doing this year, you have to go to Herbert in a potentially good game against the Vegas Raiders.
Agreed. Who should I start at wide receiver? Zane coming in here. Pittman, Christian Watson, Keenan Allen, Garrett Wilson, Zay Jones. We don't know how many they have to start here, so let's just kind of maybe rank these guys
Rank
so
them,
that
sure.
yeah. So number one for me here would be Keenan Allen.
Correct.
Who's your number two?
Garrett Wilson.
Same. Number three.
Christian Watson.
Agreed. Pittman or Zay Jones?
Pittman.
I tend to agree with that top five.
I think
ranking.
Zay is. I mean, Zay had such a good game last week. It's hard to go against him. I know
Agreed. Yep.
Zane probably picked up Zay Jones off waivers, wanting to play him, but he's got such good options. I think those rankings are pretty close. It's hard to get away from Garrett Wilson against the Vikings this week. That's a very spicy matchup.
I'm actually gonna swap Zay Jones to 4
Okay.
and Michael Pittman to 5 just
Against
for
Dallas.
this exercise
Okay.
because I think the Detroit matchup is so juicy.
Sure.
However, it's not going to matter. There's no way he has to start 4 wide receivers. So,
Right.
again, Keenan Allen, Garrett Wilson, Christian Watson, Zay Jones, Michael Pittman.
Cool. I'm into
But
it.
we really want to focus in on those top 3.
Mark Hill coming in. Sorry if you've been waiting a couple of minutes here, Mark. But
there we go.
Every single week, Mark is coming through with the super chats just to support the boys. We would have got to your question, and Mark is absolute beauty. Thielen,
let's break it down
Ayuk?
here. Woo, Thielen or Ayuk? Okay, well, Adam Thielen has just continued to do what Adam Thielen does. The question is, can he do it again this week?
Yeah, he's been like last week was a really good game. He got in the end zone twice probably. And I'm still going with Brandon Ayuk with a limited Deebo Samuel. I think that's where it hinges for me. Brandon Ayuk's been doing a lot of the same things that typically Adam Thielen does, catching multiple touchdowns, getting 8 targets last week against New Orleans. Miami, this game's supposed to be super high over-under. Should be a really great game. They're going to be forced to pass the football a ton. Christian McCaffrey was limited this week. Deebo Samuel's limited this week. It's going to be George Kittle and Brandon Ayuk, the only healthy players on the San Francisco team right now, or the most healthy players. So I think they will have to game plan for Brandon Ayuk. And when Kyle Shanahan game plans to get Ayuk the ball a lot, he has really, really good games. We saw that a couple of years ago when Deebo missed almost the entire season. So yeah. I feel much more confident this week in Brandon Ayuk than I typically do. I'm expecting him, projecting him to get 8 to 12 targets. And if he's gotten 11 twice in a row, but that's kind of his max.
The thing I look for here too is just, through 12 weeks data that we've compiled.
Yep.
The New York Jets are giving up the 3rd least to opposing fantasy wide receivers.
Mm-hmm.
They're a shutdown defense. Sauce Gardner's been amazing. Their pass rush is getting home. Does that mean that I temper expectation for Justin Jefferson? No, not really.
You can temper expectations, but you're not going to sit him.
Well, correct, to the point where I'm going to pivot. Can I use that, though, to temper expectations for Adam Thielen or TJ Hawkinson? Like, the answer is yes. The Miami Dolphins have also been good, too, but they're not allowing the 3rd least. They're allowing the 15th least. So they're kind of your average matchup for wide receivers. And I think if we see any limitations from Deebo Samuel, that Brandon Ayuk is going to continue to do what he's been doing. So I like Ayuk here in a full PPR. Thielen, I think you're hoping he gets into the end zone today. Really, just those high value touches. That's where he'll maybe make his mark. But Ayuk, I like for more volume and probably more reliability.
Yeah, I like it. Thank you, Mark. And just as a reminder to everyone, if you do want your question answered right away, just like Mark did, toss in a super chat. Even if you just want to support the boys, toss a super chat, helps the channel a lot. Like the video. Once you get your question answered, just toss a like. That's the easiest part to do. Once we get to you, it helps the channel a lot. It's free to do.
Let's just set a goal. 50 likes today would be fantastic for everybody coming in and out. Last year we got over 100 a couple times. I think 50 is a really good spot. So if you haven't slapped a like on that video, go ahead and do that right now. We'll get to Tate's question. Start two in a full PPR: Rachaad White, Leonard Fournette, Zay Jones, Cordero Patterson.
Leonard Fournette off the injury report is interesting because he is more of a pass catcher than Rachaad White, but I still rank Rachaad White higher. I think he'll get the start. Yep. He's not going to catch as many passes. That's where it's going to be close between the two.
The thing is here, if you own both of them, you have the luxury to wait it out till Monday night and make the decision at the bell.
Right.
Between Zay Jones and Cordero, I'm going to go with Zay Jones because it's a full PPR.
You can't get away from that last week from Zay.
Yes. So I'll go Zay Jones, and then I'll pick between Rachaad White and Leonard Fournette. As of right now, Leonard Fournette is questionable to play Monday night. We'll get more information as we get closer to game time on Monday, but I would be willing to play one of the two and Zay Jones.
Yep, I like that.
Chris also wanting to know Tua or Herbert this week.
Well, that's much closer. I think I just go Tua then. But a tougher matchup. But who cares?
Much tougher matchup. It clearly doesn't matter when you've got Jalen Waddle and Tyreek Hill. Rankings have Justin Herbert ahead.
Yeah, I know.
So I'm going to go with the rankings here.
All right, it's close for sure.
Start two in a full PPR. Got a close matchup here for Vert, Rachaad White, Isaiah Pacheco, Paris Campbell, Treylon Burks. Thanks for all the help this season, legends. We've been bumped up to the legendary status. Who do you like here, Lando? I kind of low-key like Pacheco here.
I was looking at him. He caught my eye. I think Paris Campbell is a tough one. He disappointed everyone last week. It's easy to just go away from him. Burks had that kind of lucky touchdown in the end zone that with the ball getting swatted out of Derrick Henry's hands.
Yep.
Pacheco, I think Pacheco gets in the end zone this week, so I would go Pacheco.
I'm going both running backs, Pacheco and White for me.
Pacheco and White, even in a full PPR leagues, to kind of two guys that don't catch the ball, but that's where we're kind of projecting touchdowns for these two. Bert, I did see that Jerick McKinnon was limited. I don't know if he's been ruled out, but that could lead to more receptions for Pacheco.
You know that Rachaad White had 9 receptions last week, right?
Was it? Did he have? See, maybe that's where my perception. But
he had 9 targets, 9 receptions. He was
but with Fournette, you have to think that he gets the pass catching work like he did before. No.
Sure. Like I said, whether Fournette is going to be a full go or not, we don't know yet.
Yeah. Right. So
I still think I'm willing to play Rachaad White over Paris Campbell and Treylon Burks.
Okay. Sounds good. I'm into it.
Fields or Dak, 4-point QB scoring.
I'm going to go Dak.
Yeah, this one's really close for me. But I still would go Dak. I think the matchup is just too good.
I think for Fields, like if you need the upside, he always has that. He can rush for 185 yards. Like he has that kind of capability. It's just with his injury, that's where I'm just leaning to the healthy player.
So how many more touchdowns is Dak going to throw than Justin Fields?
Probably 2 more.
So call it 2. That's 80 yards rushing that Justin Fields would have to make up for.
Right.
To be even.
And it's possible.
It's not outrageous. I
No.
think I'd be willing to bet that more on a fully healthy,
Yeah.
better matchup. I'm gonna
Yeah.
go with Dak.
Mm-hmm.
Need one running back, one flex. Currently have Cordero Patterson, Rashad White, Jamal Williams, Brandon Ayuk, Christian Kirk, Peoples Jones, full PPR. Okay, Jamal Williams is in your lineup,
Yeah.
in my opinion.
And then between Kirk and Ayuk, that's where it's tough for me.
I would have to go with Christian Kirk.
I think you kind of do as well. He's been very, very good, and it's going to be a good game
Yeah.
against Detroit, right?
There's no reason why Jamal Williams shouldn't be in your lineup, leading the league in rushing touchdowns, and then Christian Kirk's been a top 10 wide receiver this year. So, yeah, I'm not going to go away from either. If you wanted to pivot, I think Brandon Ayuk is a good play, but I don't think I would play him over Christian Kirk.
No, agreed.
And Jared Goff or Deshaun Watson. Okay,
Here we go. I would go to Deshaun Watson, I think, just for the upside. You've been hanging on to him for so long. You have a chance to play him. Why not?
the
See what happens.
matchup is literally as good as it gets for Deshaun Watson. Does that mean that it's going to be good for fantasy? Maybe not, because he just has the luxury of just handing the ball off to the number one running back, Nick Chubb. And
Yeah.
Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt can just like beat the Houston Texans up. Jared Goff, however, we know he's going to throw it. We know the Lions have scored points. They're one of 3 teams to score more than 30 points in a game 5 or more times. The other 2 teams are the Chiefs and the other team. Oh, the Bills. Chiefs, Bills, and Lions scoring more than 30 points 5 or more times. He's been getting it done. So I think there's a world where Jared Goff is better for fantasy today, even though the matchup is just so good for Deshaun. I think I'd be willing to go with Jared Goff if you need some safety.
Yeah, sure. I think that's reasonable as well.
I'm kind of talking myself into no answer there. I think it's easier just to present both sides. Lazard or Mike Evans?
Mike Evans. Mike Evans for me.
That was tough to say, I know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll go Mike Evans as well. Oh, we got a super chat coming in here from Rames. Let me scroll down here. We got Carr or Deshaun Watson. And should I start Jameson over Antonio Gibson? At the flex, also have DeAndre Carter as an option. I need the best option.
Are we
Dang,
saying
dude.
that's Jameson Williams, the rookie wide receiver in Detroit?
I'm going to assume that means Jameson Williams. Go ahead and correct us if we're wrong there. But Derek Carr or Deshaun Watson, let's start there, Lando. Currently, Derek Carr just outside of a top 12 quarterback. And then we've got Deshaun, who we've said is just inside the top 12. So if we consult the rankings, Deshaun Watson's the play.
Yeah, and for Rams, it makes it, you have to go down narrative street a little bit. I talked about this early in the episode, but
Yep.
If you just came in, you're asking this question, I'll go over a little bit again because he gave us the super chat. Deshaun Watson could easily throw for 3 or 4 touchdowns. The Houston defense is that bad, but they don't necessarily need to. Like Mac just said, they could hand it off to Nick Chubb, and they can't stop Nick Chubb either. They don't have anyone to stop Nick Chubb. Nick Chubb can get in for 3 touchdowns. You have to believe that Houston wants to get Deshaun Watson passing touchdowns for that to pay off. Derek Carr in a very good matchup against the Chargers could also throw for 2 to 3. No problem. He's had to get there these past few weeks in overtime. I mean, it was a Josh Jacobs handoff last week.
Yeah.
But it was a deep bomb to Devontae Adams the week before. I think if you need an upside play, I think Deshaun Watson is a very fun play. If you need a floor play, Derek Carr is that guy that's going to do it for you. Throw for 2 and 250, 2 and 300 yards against a very susceptible Chargers defense. But I think it'd be does it sound fun starting Deshaun Watson? I don't know. Like that's kind of like,
it does sound fun. I like the revenge game. I like the hostility that's going to exist. I want him to just come in here and shove points down the Texans' throats. Like I think it's going to be very hostile.
I think to a point, like you should be cheering for. I mean, I want to cheer for Houston because
I
Deshaun
mean,
did them dirty, like really dirty, sitting out for that week, demanding or that year. I mean, demanding a trade, being the scumbag he is.
wow.
I mean, come
No, I
on.
I don't look, I don't disagree. I definitely don't disagree. I'm gonna try to remove myself from the
Correct.
past and just say, like, what does this week look like? I think Deshaun Watson's a lot of fun. That's
For
where I would be
fantasy.
going. I don't think you have a bad option in Derek Carr. Let's go to Jamison Williams, DeAndre Carter, and Antonio Gibson at the flex.
I'm
As much as I want to start Jamison Williams this week, I'm not going to be.
no.
There's nothing that I want to have to rely on him for in making his NFL debut. I mean, that's hard enough in itself. Doing so in week 13, also not ideal when you have to win for your fantasy lineups. Antonio Gibson's been great. I'm just going to go there. DeAndre
Gibson was
Carter could
hurt.
be fun.
He was on the injury report all week. I didn't expect him to play. He is expected to play,
This year.
but I think I just go. I think because I am not sure about the injury status with Gibson, I might just go with DeAndre Carter. He had one good game. I don't expect him to be that good again, having 10 targets and a touchdown.
Uh-huh.
But I'm just a little bit worried for Gibson being hurt again and just being a little bit more limited, and Brian Robinson being the lead back. Uh, I don't.
Gibson
That's
is Gibson is quietly the running back 16 on the year.
Yeah. He's been good.
I think if he's playing, I'm playing him.
Okay.
That's where I'm going to go. I think for you to be happy, DeAndre Carter has to get into the end zone.
Yeah,
I don't
that's
know that
fair.
the same is safe with Gibson. So I think what we have to eliminate here is that Jamison Williams is not a viable play this week.
And DeAndre Carter is not consistent either. I don't. He's not a consistent wide receiver whatsoever.
Sure.
But I just kind of lean it for the upside, getting in the end zone. I think for you to be happy with Gibson or Carter, they need to get in the end zone. So who has the higher probability of getting in the end zone is the question. I don't have the answer, but
I'm going Gibson if it's my
okay.
lineup. That's
All
where
right.
I'm at.
Cool.
Christian Kirk or Rashad White in a full PPR coming from Byzinski.
Zinski, I'm going to go with Christian Kirk.
I am as well. I think with any bit of speculation that Leonard Fournette will play on Monday, it definitely tampers or dampens your expectations for Rashad White and what he could potentially give you. So Christian Kirk, top 10 wide receiver on the year, really good matchup. I don't know how you get away from that
Yeah.
given the option.
Make sure, once we answer your question, make sure to toss a like on the video. We're trying to get to 50 likes today. A couple of years, we've had over 100 likes. We could get there again. This is the time to get into the playoffs. We appreciate we see 26, 27 people watching this video right now. If you do want your question answered right away, like Bai and Rames did, we can just toss a super chat in there. It helps the show. It's not much money. Just as a thank you to the boys every single week grinding for you, going through your questions. And we do give you more details and we elaborate more with these super chats as well.
Yes. Let's go to Tony Two-Toned. Full
Yes.
PPR, got ETN Aaron Jones starting, but wondering if I should still consider Jeff Wilson or Rashad White. Need to win this week to secure my first round bye, or my brother loses. He'll get that, I guess, as well. No, I'm rolling Aaron Jones and Travis Etienne.
The old I need to win this week. That's going to be the theme of today's show. I feel ya.
I think a lot of people are in that situation.
Yeah, I agree. I'm going ETN and Aaron Jones. Even after the last week, ETN kind of getting in there, ruled out right away.
Yeah.
Really hurt, but all reports lead to ETN being fully healthy and back to his old self.
Fournette, Gus Edwards, Fournette or Gus Edwards, and Josh Palmer or George Pickens. Wow.
Michael, I don't like any of your options. If I had the choice to omit my answer and just disregard it, I would. But going with Fournette is super high risk. Waiting for
Agreed.
Monday night, he could be ruled out. So unless you have an option in that same game.
Well, unless you have Rashad White, I think you're not really waiting that out.
And I don't think you do. If you You're playing Olave over Fournette. What else is
So let's just acknowledge last week. Gus Edwards makes his return after 3 weeks off. One of them was a bye week. 16 carries, 52 yards, got into the end zone. You liked what you saw to Gus Edwards. He has a really tough matchup against the Denver Broncos this week, but Fournette has a tough matchup against the Saints. So I'm gonna go with Gus Edwards here because I don't want to take the chance with Leonard Fournette on Monday and have no other options. When it comes to Palmer or Pickens, I'm probably just gonna stay with George Pickens, who's definitely in my mind the wide receiver one for the Steelers right now.
Yeah, I think that's about right. Just any Chargers wide receiver could have a big game. I mean, the only one I'm comfortable playing is Keenan Allen, but they're going to flip flop between Palmer and Carter every single week. It's very difficult to project one of them. One of them will be a top 15, 20 wide receiver, but the other one's going to be a top 50. It's brutal.
It's very brutal. It's very tough.
In between Everett as well. It was it's not it's very difficult.
Our guy Gary coming through with the $5 super chat, but no question. Just maybe showing a little bit of love.
Just some support, Gary.
If you want to scroll through the chat, here we go. We got Gary with a question. Let's just go to Gary's right now and put this in as a super chat.
Of course.
Have some good ones for us. Geno or Watson? Wow.
We should have just this is the Deshaun Watson show.
This is the Deshaun Watson show. Okay, so Geno or Deshaun Watson. I think I'm just gonna stick with Geno. Geno's been so good
against the Rams too. I mean,
and the matchup is great.
Depleted.
Yeah, I don't know that I get away from Geno this week.
Yeah.
Swift, Kamara, and Pirine pick 2.
I traded away DeAndre Swift, and I've been off the Swift train. I've been disappointed with his snap share. I have a really good feeling about Swift this week. I think he looked like himself last week. His snap share has continued to grow. If you're looks like it's a half PPR, Gary, but either way, half or full PPR, I do think Swift kind of returns to his old self a little bit. I'm hyped for DeAndre Swift this week. With that being said,
Swift and Kamara here?
With that being said, I think the floor plays. I think Samaje is in a really good spot. Mine is more like a hope and a prayer for Swift. He hasn't really done anything to prove that to us lately.
Yep.
I think I would, despite everything I said, I think Samaje and Kamara would be the play, who I have ranked the highest.
Yeah, I think so too. I answered a couple questions this morning about DeAndre Swift, and I said, it feels like this is the week where, Swift is going to have the return to form game. The matchup is so good. He's off the injury report for the first time since week 3. He's trending nicely, but there's no data that supports him having a bigger role. It's more of a gut feeling. And well, I'm willing to follow that for my own teams. I don't know that I'm willing to profess that to anybody else. So Kamara and Pirine, certainly I think are the two here. In terms of Christian Watson, George Pickens, and Michael Pittman to pick 2, who would you be sitting down out of that trio with a half PPR?
Man, you've got 2 just explosive, fun rookie wide receivers.
Yeah.
And you have a really talented receiver that just can't seem to get it going with Matt Ryan.
Yep.
Their offensive line is just banged up. There's so much pressure on Matt Ryan this year.
I got my answer.
You're going to go with the rookies?
No, I'm going to go with Watson and Pittman.
Ooh, okay. I'm into it.
Love it. We got Paz showing that weekly love for the snap.
Love you too, Paz.
We love you too, brother. Need to put one in for the flex. Gus Edwards, Mike Evans, Traylon Burks, Zonovan Knight in a full PPR. Also Fields or Herbert. I'm just gonna go with my guy Mike Evans. I think he gets it done for us this week. I really do.
Yeah, I want to believe in that too. I think Mike Evans is the correct play. We know he has disappearing acts. That's Mike Evans to a T. He's not getting the targets like Godwin has been, but he is getting the targets. They're just deep down the field.
Yeah, so 9 targets last week, only caught 2 though.
Yeah. Like Tom's Brady's deep ball ain't what it used to be, but at the end of the day, you're still talking about Tom
Mike
Brady and Mike
Evans.
Evans.
Yeah.
Like it wouldn't take much for them to connect on a few, and that just breaks the slate for Mike Evans. I'm sitting Mike Evans for Chris Godwin straight up, but I don't know if I would
Yes.
sit Mike Evans for. I mean, Zonovan Knight, fun pickup. I know you picked him up off waivers this week. You got him.
Just
But
keep him on the bench.
I think you just got to keep him on the bench a little bit. And
Fields or Herbert?
And we're going Justin Herbert.
I am as well, yeah.
Yeah. I think he has a great game against Vegas. Fields is fun. I'm a little bit concerned with the injury, Paz. Just whether he's going to rush the ball like he usually does. Yes, he can run for 150 yards. We've said this before. And if he does, he might outscore Herbert. But he has to probably rush for a couple touchdowns too for that to happen.
Agreed. Let's go to Rolando RG. Flex ETN or Godwin in a half PPR.
That's a tricky one.
It is. It's not easy.
Because ETN coming off that injury, it feels so bad just to leave him or just to throw him back in. And then the opposite was true for Godwin.
Yes.
Last week, having a huge game, probably on Rolando's bench.
Most likely.
Right? So it's like, do you do it again?
I think I'm just going to go with Godwin. I don't want to take any chance that, something happens to Travis Etienne. The volume has been the point of contention with Chris Godwin for me the entire season. And, I'm just going to stay with the hot hand and Chris Godwin. 12 receptions last week, 110 yards, got into the end zone. Like he won you a week last week. And could he do it again this week? It's likely.
Just got notified that Josh Jacobs will play as expected. We expected him to play this week.
Yeah. Calf tightness? Who cares? 86 yards to the house.
Apparently that just gives him turbo boosters, kind of like like Dalvin Cook's shoulder device.
Yes. Oh yeah, the device. Get the device out now. Yeah. We got 25 likes on the stream. Let's go ahead and bump those up for anybody still around who hasn't liked the stream. Really appreciate your questions. Let's go to Julio here. Would we start Tony Pollard or Isaiah Pacheco in a standard league? I'm
going Pollard.
Tony Pollard as well. Sleek, full PPR, need one. Dameon Pierce, Rachaad White, Jeff Wilson.
Oh, man.
Back-to-back duds for Dameon Pierce.
I know. Go flex Rachaad White Monday night. Make it fun. We're all cheering for you Monday night. You need to, make your 8 points you need Monday and go Rachaad White.
I would be going Dameon Pierce if it was my team.
All right.
It's a gross question all around. How much do you expect Watson to elevate Brown's receivers?
It's hard to elevate them more than what Brissett did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think over the remainder of the season, I do expect them to get a boost. This week might not be the week for them to do that because of game script. So I do expect that, Amari Cooper gets more volume and the quality of target is better. That Deshaun Watson just has the ability to, make throws that other quarterbacks just can't make. Let's not forget he's very, very special. Does he still have it? Is he rusty? All these things will be answered in the coming weeks, but I do expect there to be some sort of boost for those pass catchers in Cleveland.
Yeah, it would be closer to Donovan Peoples-Jones getting a boost than Amari Cooper because Amari Cooper's already a top 12 wide receiver.
Yeah.
But it's the deep threat of Donovan Peoples-Jones. That's where I like the upside there and more consistency and the touchdowns. For Peoples-Jones only has one touchdown this season. I think he could get 3 to finish the year.
Right.
3 more, I mean.
Chris has a defensive question, so let's jump into that. Locked into the playoffs. Congratulations.
Mm-hmm.
What are a couple defenses that are mostly available in free agency that I should target for the playoffs? We have talked about this on our waiver show a couple times. The Cleveland Browns was one that we talked about. Currently 43% owned in Sleeper right now. They've got Houston this week. Cincinnati, Baltimore, 14 and 15 are not great, but then New Orleans and Washington in championship week could be decent. We also talked about the Chiefs.
Yeah, I've got a good one for you, Chris. The Pittsburgh Steelers. They're only rostered in 23% of leagues with TJ Watt back. there's been some big upgrades to that defense. We saw that last week against Indy. Atlanta this week, they have done Baltimore twice, but that's not always the worst matchup.
Sure.
But then in between that, you have Carolina and Las Vegas. So I like Pittsburgh, and they're widely available.
They definitely would be more available than the Browns. I'm also going to throw out the Chiefs. I mean, two other ones, the Eagles and the Ravens, but they're, highly owned. The Kansas City Chiefs, though, I really like their matchup coming down the stretch. Not this week, but starting week 14, the Denver Broncos, then the Houston Texans. They got the Seattle Seahawks in week 16, which is their toughest test, and then back to the Broncos. So 2 dates with the Broncos, one with the Texans in the next, weeks 14 through 17. That's looking really, really nice for a championship push.
They might be dropped this week because of Cincinnati.
Yeah, fair. Yeah, totally fair. Yeah. Okay, let's keep it going. Let's go a little double time here. So this is a full PPR league. We're starting Tony Pollard, Samaje Perine, Terry McLaurin, and just reiterating, we're starting 2.
Okay.
Bookending it with start 2. Pollard is an in?
Pollard's an in for sure. And then
Perine.
Samaje or Terry. I think, oh geez, that's really tough. Terry has been so weird and disappointing, but still a top 20 wide receiver. I think I just go Terry McLaurin.
I would have to go there as well. Jimmy G or Deshaun Watson. Not going to spend any time here. Glock guy, it's Deshaun over Jimmy G.
Let's go for Deshaun.
Full PPR. Oh, you're doing it. Okay, it's on to you. Full PPR projected to win. Need to start 2 out of Juju, Slayton, and Perine. Sit Slayton.
Yep.
Full PPR projected to win by 2. Gibson or Kamara and Zay Jones and Pittman.
John, I'm going Kamara over Gibson because of Gibson's injury report this week. I'm a little bit concerned with him and how he's going to get used.
Yep.
So Kamara for sure. And then, I'm fine with Zay Jones over Pittman. That's what you're thinking, like if that's what you lean right now because of what Zay Jones did last week, that's fine. Our rankings say Pittman. It's a tougher matchup against Dallas. He could get shut down, but he's a better talent and he's the number 1 option, whereas Zay Jones is the number 2 to Christian Kirk without a question.
It's a tough one for sure. I don't know that you have a bad option per se, but
yeah.
Wide receiver 3s with wide receiver 2 upsides, I think, between those 2. Half PPR recently struggling, AJ Brown or Amari Cooper with Deshaun Watson returning. Whoo, boy.
AJ Brown has been very disappointing, but this revenge game narrative.
Yeah, it's so
I'm walking
sweet.
down that street. I'm in on it. I think he could easily get multiple touchdowns here.
I'm going to be starting AJ Brown regardless, but Amari Cooper's been great. But yeah, AJ Brown, revenge game narrative against the Titans. Lock it in. Half PPR pick 2, Swift, Najee, Brian Robinson, Gus Edwards. Warren with one of the grossest questions of the day.
I'm going Najee for. Oh, sorry.
No, you're not.
I'm going Swift for sure, and then I'm going Brian Robinson.
Tend to agree. I would not play Najee out of this group.
No, just worried about his injury thing.
Half PPR, a lot of flex spots. Do I fire up Kittle over Rachaad White and a banged up Depot?
Oh, interesting. So he must have a really good tight end to start, like Andrews or Kelsey.
Or Kelsey, yeah. I'll play Kittle over those 2 for sure.
Yeah, I'm into it.
Hi guys, been hurting at tight end since Goddard went out.
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully we see him back next week, week 14, maybe week 15. We'll see. 10 team half PPR projected to win currently. Who do I start? Moreau, Komet, or Taysom Hill? Start Moreau.
I'm going Foster Moreau. Yep. I'm doing the same thing, Claire. So I'm hoping for that 40 yards and a touchdown from Moreau. That's kind of where he lands. If he doesn't get in the end zone, you're disappointed. But because there's very few good tight ends, you're probably not losing too much unless you have to play Kelsey, Andrews, Kittle.
Yes. Julio says, starting Pittman in a full PPR, need 2 more. Got Debo, Christian Watson, Juju, Zonovan Knight, and Nico Collins. Thanks again. Happy to be here.
Happy you're here too.
Yeah. So starting Pittman and need 2 more. Is Pittman a lock out of this group?
Apparently he is, and that's fine.
Like I think I'd I think I'd be willing to start Debo over Pittman.
Right.
I think Christian Watson, given his last 3 weeks, has to be in your lineup.
So we're going Debo and Watson alongside Michael Pittman.
Pittman, is it like Pittman over Juju? Yes. Pittman over Zonovan? Yes. So I guess so. Debo, Watson, and Pittman. If you're afraid of Debo, you can make the pivot to Juju. But
I mean, Zonovan Knight's going to get work.
Sure.
It's just you're hoping for the end zone, I think, for Zonovan Knight.
Yeah.
Tough one.
Full PPR, who should I flex? Courtland Sutton, Christian Watson, or David Montgomery?
Do you want me to put that up on the screen?
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, it's all good.
Here, you got this. I'll be right back.
Yep, no worries. I'll start David Montgomery out of those options. Christian Watson has been very good with his touchdowns, but I do think that David Montgomery can get in the end zone and is going to definitely get the work as well. So I would go Montgomery, then Watson, then Sutton. Sutton will be my last option there. Corey, thanks for the comment. Toss a like. Johnny, be good. You got Pierce and Olave in a half PPR league. Johnny, I did a video on Dameon Pierce this week. I am not excited to start him this week. I do think he gets that 8 to 10 kind of fantasy points. That's what I'm projecting for Dameon Pierce. I don't think he has the struggles, 2-3 points that he's been giving you lately. Cleveland gives it up to the running back. But with that being said, I am going to start Olave. The Tampa Bay defense is not great. Olave has been a stud. I think he's going to be very good. And just make sure, Johnny, to put Olave in your flex spot so that you have full flexibility on Monday night when they play. Stuart, evening, sir. Hope you had a great week. Thank you. I hope you did as well. Big matchup this week. Stuart is from England. So hello from across overseas. I'm second and playing the top. All right. Both have the same record, but he has 1.15 points more than me. So it's a tight one. Watson, Boyd, or Slayton at wide receiver 2. I am definitely going to sit Tyler Boyd with Jamar Chase back. Yes, Jamar Chase will take some coverage away from Tyler Boyd, but Boyd hasn't been a consistent option. I'm going to go Christian Watson in this matchup, Stuart. Darius Slayton, I think, is fine, but he's not someone either I am excited to play. So, yeah, Christian Watson with some confidence. You're only a point back. So I think even in a full PPR league, Stuart, as you mentioned, I think Watson is the upside play against a very susceptible Bears defense. Watson gets in the end zone for a whatever that is 4th consecutive game, and you should be going to first place, my dude.
I agree with Landon. Stuart, sorry I almost missed your question, but I agree. Happy evening over there in England, and congrats on first, because we know you're going to get it.
We know it
for sure. Yeah. BC Gamer Kid, got to pick one here between Keenan Allen, Mike Evans, Michael Pittman, and DeAndre Swift in a full PPR.
I'm going Keenan Allen.
Allen. Bang.
Yep.
We got Gary's. We're on to Daniel here. Standard League, choosing between Dylan Burks, Drake London, or Deontay Johnson.
AJ Dillon is interesting to me because of the Bears defense. Now, he had more work last week. Yeah, he had 8 carries, which we hadn't seen in a while. He got in the end zone, which is great. Still only 43% of snaps, which is kind of his norm. He hasn't really been getting too much more than that all season, except for a handful.
Yep.
Yeah, I it's between Dylan and Burks for me, because
Drake London you can't play,
and Deontay Johnson in a standard league is basically useless.
Correct. Yeah, full PPR, he's like hanging on by a thread, you know, and it's just because of his volume. But It's not been something that you want to lean on. But yeah, standard league dead. Drake London, no thank you. AJ Dillon, man, I think that's where I would turn here. Aaron Rodgers is going to play today, but they may lean on the run game heavily
because of that Aaron Rodgers injury. Sure.
Yes, I'd like to see some more Jordan Love. I'm not gonna lie, he looked good last week.
I don't know why Rodgers is starting. He just wants to officially, like, what if the Bears win today?
Well, then the Green Bay season is officially over.
Well, I mean,
it already is.
It's
Mathematically,
over.
It's not, but
okay,
it is. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
But traditionally, the Packers own, and Aaron Rodgers specifically owns Chicago.
And I own a piece of the Packers. So does that mean that I also indirectly own a piece of Soldier Field?
Of Chi-Town? You own,
or does Aaron Rodgers own them?
Does Aaron Rodgers have shares in the Packers?
No chance.
No chance. He's done with that.
No. I have one. Two. I have two. I just
you
can't
own
find
a
the
blade of
paperwork
grass in Soldier Field.
Yeah. Fields or Herbert?
In a 4-point per passing touchdown game.
Herb.
Yeah, I'm going Herbert as well.
Snap Army. Remember, standard scoring, one flex projected to win, Brian Robinson or Devontae Smith. I'm going to go with Brian Robinson.
I think so too.
Daniel, choose one. Zay Jones, Cortland Sutton, George Pickens. I think I'm just going to go Zay Jones.
To stay in the flames with Zay Jones. I don't blame that. All right, guys, make sure to like the video. Helps us out a lot. Share it with your friends. If you are tired of waiting around, like, stay down we will answer your question right away. I'll get to it. Zonovan Knight or Chris Olave? Here's a tough one. We have the stud rookie wide receiver and the waiver wire pickup. Kind of the perfect question, Mac.
Yeah. It's oh boy. I mean, I know what my answer is.
Yeah.
It's not it's probably not what you want to hear, but it's going to be Chris Olave.
Okay. Okay, that is what I want to hear.
Okay.
I'm
with Lando. Like, you picked up Zonovan Knight. It feels good. He's the number one waiver wire pickup on the year, but I mean, on the week. But Chris Olave has been one of the best wide receivers on the year. Yeah. Currently wide receiver 15. He's got a bye week coming up next week, which I would love to see him have. But after that, Atlanta, Cleveland, Philly, nice little playoff schedule. They play the Bucks on Monday night, and is really the single target. It's him and it's Alvin Kamara, and that is it. So I will go with Chris Olave. I know it's tempting to go with Zonovan Knight here, but I'm just going to stay with my guy, Chris Olave.
I think so too. Make sure to put him in your flex position.
Yes, Monday night
so that you have full flexibility for Monday night. I know you're probably going to lock in Olave, but just in case, you never know.
Sure.
And then you have something to cheer for Monday night, and then it's a fun game. Just as a heads up, we got to 3,030 subs. Producer Scott on the ball. Thank you for everyone subscribing. Toss a like on the video, and if you can, like, Paz, like, stay down, toss a super chat to support the show.
Did we get Daniel's question? I can't remember. We said Zay Jones?
Zay Jones.
Zay Jones. And then Daniel, again, standard league, sit one, CMC, Chubb, Kenneth Walker, and Saquon Barkley. Whoa, what a list.
What a list is right.
So you would have drafted... I was going to say, Christian McCaffrey looked like he avoided a bigger injury, expected to have a full workload this week. No Elijah Mitchell. He's on IR.
Well, full workload is still in question.
Well, I mean, that's what was reported.
Okay.
I think, though, you probably have to sit CMC down, no?
I think you do.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy, but Chubb, Kenneth Walker, Saquon Barkley. I mean, Daniel, these are all top 12 options at the running back position this week, but Christian McCaffrey's just been someone that, when given full opportunity, is the man. And is exactly
league, so McCaffrey really makes his hay catching the football. So if you don't get an extra point, like Chubb and Walker are,
Nick Chubb is yes, Nick Chubb is locked in. Saquon Barkley is locked in. Kenneth Walker, I also think is fantastic. He profiles a little bit more like Christian McCaffrey than the other two, but I'll just sit CMC down, and this will be the week he has the big game and whatever. But no, I think you got to sit CMC down. It's crazy.
Great question.
Fields or Mariota, 4-point scoring. Number 2, trying to take down number 1. Need that big week.
Fields,
then you got to go Justin Fields, brother.
You got to go Justin Fields in that scenario.
Heck yeah. You got to hope that he's back to his usual self. Give me that 150 yards rushing, please.
Mariota does not have that upside.
No, he does not. Do I start Lamar Jackson or Trevor Lawrence? I'm having a meltdown trying to decide which seems absurd. I know it's not absurd. Really isn't. But I will start Lamar Jackson.
I know Lamar just hasn't been the guy that we saw in week 2 and 3 against Miami, New England, putting up those 40 points. He's been the consistent, he's just been a very average quarterback lately.
Correct.
And Lawrence has been good. And Trav against Detroit should be good. I still have to go Lamar Jackson.
I do as well. I'm going to bring up a point here that I think is going to be relevant. Denver Broncos may be the worst offensive team in the league. And yes, I know I do acknowledge that the Houston Texans do exist. But the Denver Broncos have been abysmal. Their defense is fantastic. So are the Ravens. This could be a very slow game. But this could be a game where the time of possession for the Ravens is just so much greater than the time of possession for the Broncos. And Lamar Jackson, with his legs, has found a way to maintain some consistency for you. So Trevor Lawrence in a really good game against the Lions is why it's so close. If it was any other matchup, I think we would go Lamar unanimously. But I'm still going to stick with Lamar here because I think he has the ability to make a bigger difference. So that's where I'm going to be. And I hope that he turns it around.
I hope so too. And with that heartbreaking loss last week against Jacksonville, I think the Ravens really need to prove something here against Denver. And Denver's going to, like Mac said, is just going to hand them the ball all the time.
Fields or Watson? I'd probably go Fields.
I think that's very reasonable to go Fields.
Yeah.
And you just have to like Fields more. He's a better player.
Like, we can't be going there. We can't be going there.
For sure. For sure you can.
Come on. That's crazy.
Watson, he's a trash.
I mean, he wasn't convicted of anything.
No, don't even give me that.
That's the Lando line, baby.
Don't
just
even start with that.
I'll go Fields. He's a better person. Pick one: Jeff Wilson, Kyron Williams, or Isaiah Pacheco.
Going Pacheco.
Here.
Yeah.
Been here since week 2, and now I'm 10-2. Deadline is not done. Anyone I should trade for that you think has strong week 16, week 17 matchups? Ooh, that's an interesting question.
That unfortunately feels too vague for a Starts It live stream, my dude.
Yeah, I'm just trying to think off the top of my head. Who are people that we've talked about in the previous weeks?
Montgomery was the guy. I mean, I think DeAndre Swift would be a decent buy right now with his stock being very, very low. But week 15. Okay, so yeah, Carolina.
Do we want to rely on him?
No, but Carolina, Chicago, week 16, 17 is pretty nice.
Okay, here's what I'm going to say. If you don't have a standout tight end on your team, you need to go in and grab one. Go make an aggressive trade for Travis Kelce, Mark Andrews. Mark Andrews probably easy to buy.
Easier to buy. Atlanta,
easier to buy.
16, 17.
TJ Hawkinson. Go and grab one of those guys at the tight end position and really boost up your roster. Outside of that, I'm okay with buying DeAndre. It's something that I still hold some conviction in. It's definitely weakening. If you can get your hands on a Derrick Henry or even Alvin Kamara, like Alvin Kamara, we already talked about it today, has the Falcons, the Browns, and the Eagles, the remaining or I guess in the playoff schedule. So that's someone I would look at. And then wide receiver position, I like CeeDee Lamb.
Or AJ Brown, I think, is relatively easy to acquire if people just look at the box score.
Yep.
He's been disappointing the past couple of weeks. Yes, he got in the end zone last week, but only 46 yards. So I don't think it mattered. The matchups don't matter for AJ Brown. You just start and you play him every single week regardless. But yeah, that's kind of where I'd look at. Get those studs, man. Just try to get those. If you have players that have been producing, upgrade to the studs. Should help you.
I just got a text. Jacobs or Pirine today?
Jacobs.
I mean, this is a joke, right?
Yeah.
So I just texted back. Taking another risk and playing Christian Watson over Mike Evans. Played Rashad over Aaron Jones last week and won by 1 point. Okay, well, I'm gonna go with Mike Evans over Christian Watson, as much as that seems backwards right now.
Look behind McKenzie right now, and
I'll still go Mike Evans. Because like Landon said, it's gonna have to stop at some point. But Aaron Jones should be played every single week, no matter what. And if
this week against Chicago is such a good, Aaron Jones could be the number one running back this week.
He could be. Yeah, Aaron Jones is a staple in my lineup. And then to get away from double Packers, I'll just go with Evans, but I would go there anyways. But there's something to be said between limiting exposure as well.
Yeah. I've never seen this one. Fournette.
Yeah. Fournette or Rachaad White. Other running backs are Dameon Pierce, Jeff Wilson Jr. It's a full PPR. April, I think if you're going to make that decision, you're going to wait till Monday night when you have all of the information. White could be, Leonard Fournette could be a surprise inactive. Could be limited, and that way you just make the decision. But I do like one of the two Tampa options over Dameon Pierce or Jeff Wilson.
Yeah, Dameon Pierce. I mean, it seems like he's just so hard to trust right now. I mentioned while you ran upstairs for little Miss Ava that I do think his floor is roughly that 8 to 10 fantasy points. And I do expect that to happen against Cleveland, who was very susceptible to the rush.
Yeah.
But Rachaad White, I mean, without Fournette caught those 9 receptions that I didn't even realize happened last week. And it could happen again if Fournette is ruled out. Then you've got something to cheer for Monday night as well. And Donovan Peoples-Jones at the flex.
I'd be playing Dameon Pierce over Donovan Peoples-Jones.
Yeah, same.
RB2 in a flex, Pollard, CP, Cordero Patterson, Dameon Pierce, or Samaje Perine. I'll go Pollard and Perine.
Same. Zonovan or Knight?
I think I would pick Zonovan Knight there.
That was the super chat. Zonovan or Chris Olave.
Yeah,
so we chose Chris Olave. That's funny.
Miles Sanders or Zonovan Bam Knight.
I think it's hard to get away from the Miles Sanders big game, even in a tough matchup this week against Tennessee. I think I would still go Miles Sanders in a standard league.
Jamal Williams or George Pickens?
Jamal Williams.
Yep. Upside of Rachaad White, DPJ with Watson, DeAndre Carter, or Jeff Wilson? I think I would go with Rachaad White here.
Yeah, if you're pure upside, I mean, we know that Watson has that in him, but last week he was a ghost for almost the entire game until Jordan Love came in. So it could happen again for him just to be a ghost the entire game.
Yep. Drum Master, Mariota or Mike White?
Let's go Mike White.
Oh my God. I don't think I've started Mariota one time this year.
As you
even
should.
In a 2 QB league. Full PPR for the flex, Zay Jones, Antonio Gibson, DeAndre Carter. I'll go Zay Jones.
Zay Jones as well.
Gus Edwards or Palmer at the flex in a standard league. I'll go Gus Edwards.
Yeah, standard makes a difference for me.
Boyd, DPJ, Drake London, Van Jefferson.
I'm going down on Peoples-Jones.
Over Boyd.
Yeah, well, Boyd wasn't even that good with Chase out.
Yeah, you're right.
One game.
Dameon Pierce or Najee Harris in a half PPR?
I'll go Dameon Pierce because I'm concerned with Najee's injury and being limited. That's my biggest concern. If it wasn't for that, I would probably just play Najee.
Deshaun Watson or Lamar Jackson?
Lamar.
I will go Lamar as well. Pick one: Isaiah Pacheco, Kyron Williams, or Josh Palmer in a full PPR.
I am
Pacheco.
going Isaiah Pacheco. Yeah.
Yeah. Start Watson over Aaron Jones.
Negative, sir. Start your Aaron Jones.
I agree as well. Aaron Jones, staple in your lineup. Do not let that man leave.
Yeah.
Scary Terry or George Pickens for the flex?
I'm going Scary Terry.
I am as well. Jimmy G, Jared Goff, Mike White, Daniel Jones for the quarterback position.
Cakes for Mike. I love that question.
I'm going Jared Goff, baby.
I don't hate that. I don't hate that question or that answer. I mean, I think Jimmy in this what seems to be a very high over/under game against Miami sounds fun. Mike White against Minnesota. They're all in the very similar tier, I think. But yeah, Jared Goff sounds fun. You just hope that he doesn't hand it off to Jamal Williams 3 times for touchdowns like he has been.
Yeah. No, I'm going with Jared Goff.
Yeah. I think that their defense is bad enough that and Jacksonville is good enough to force Goff to throw a lot.
We got 7 minutes till kickoff here. I'm excited. Week 13, almost underway. Got some great games today. Donovan Peoples-Jones or Devontae Smith? I'll go Devontae Smith.
Yeah, me too.
Dallas defense or Steelers defense? I'm going to go with Dallas.
Yeah, you kind of got to stick with Dallas for sure.
Mike White is him. He's definitely more so him than Zach Wilson.
I think this game is should really justify Mike White as the future if he has a good game against Minnesota, because the Bears make everyone look good.
Facts. Elijah Moore, Donovan Peoples-Jones in a standard league. Thanks for the amazing work here.
Donovan Peoples-Jones here.
I'm going DPJ as well. I would love to put more stock into Elijah Moore, but I'm not going to overreact after 1 week.
He only played 30% of snaps, I think, only had 2 receptions. So,
yep. Appreciate you. Thank you so much for coming by. We got Ray Gamer here. Hey, fam, sitting Debo and Dylan, starting Palmer as wide receiver 2 in potential shootout. Need help with the flex in standard. Pierce, Cordero Patterson, Mike Evans on Monday. Okay, so sitting down Debo, I don't hate the play.
Yeah, but I'm not going to start Dylan. I'm not going to start Palmer over Debo.
Yeah, I'd be playing Debo over Palmer. But if he's made up his mind on that, that is cool. All the respect for the flex here. Pierce, Patterson, Evans. I'm still going to go with Evans.
Yeah, Evans for sure. You've got a very solid team, a lot of big names, Ray. But yeah, I'm going Lawrence over Jimmy G. They're very close, I think.
Lawrence is a top 10 option for us this week. I do like the matchup, and I like Jared Goff over Jimmy G. So I would be playing Lawrence though for sure.
Yeah,
Morrow over Conklin this week in a standard.
Sure,
I think so.
Yep. And are you sure that's not Godwin?
Drummer? If it's Godwin, it's Godwin. If it's Goodwin, it's DPJ.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah. No, I agree.
Mac, I've got against producer Scott, Ayuk or Garrett Wilson in a half PPR.
Should I really answer that question though? I mean, you're both my guys.
Sheesh. Come on here. Come on now.
Say it again.
Ayuk or Garrett Wilson?
Ayuk or Garrett Wilson? I think I would play. Did you not get that?
You're going to wait till 1 o'clock?
Did you not get that? Sorry.
No, I didn't.
Oh, sorry, my bad. I said that I would play.
I seriously did not hear you again. You're kidding me.
Oh, my mic must be cutting out as soon as I say it. I'm
Shut
saying
up. You're muting yourself.
I would play.
I can see the mute. I can see the mute.
If you can read lips, you got it.
I can't. I wasn't even paying attention.
I said Garrett Wilson.
Okay, I'm going in there. Last minute change.
Looks like Jameson Williams is running special teams.
I'm not starting James.
We're not starting Jameson Williams this week, even though I'm just stoked to see him play. Feels like Christmas. I'm not starting him.
Yeah.
It's Marquise Goodwin, so DPJ.
DPJ.
Yeah.
Dak or Fields, I'm going Dak Prescott Finn.
I am as well. And Gary coming in for all the people considering Williams. No, it's I don't think he should be in consideration. But he's going to be a lot of fun to watch.
For sure.
Would you start Juju Smith-Schuster over any of the following wide receivers in a half PPR league, Lando? Deontay Johnson, Garrett Wilson, Christian Watson, Devontae Smith.
Who's the guy?
Juju.
I think you should start those players. Juju's a tough one, man. Holy man.
He is. He really, really is. By the way, tighten up.
Tighten up. Good luck,
it's gonna
everyone.
be a great week. Look, there's some really, really fun games that are gonna be watched today. The Jags and the Lions on the 1:00 slate should be a lot of fun. Deshaun Watson returning to Houston is going to be one that you have to watch. Later, we've got the Dolphins and the Niners going to be fireworks. We've got the Chargers and Raiders and the Chiefs and Bengals. Tons of really, really good games.
Yeah.
I can't wait. And then Green Bay, Chicago on the early slate as well. It's going to be a lot of fun today.
Huge week, great week. Good luck, everyone. Thanks for coming by. Like the
we
video on the way out.
We got to trade 2 minutes before in our Dynasty League.
Oh.
David Njoku, Josh Jacobs, and Michael Pittman acquired for Donovan Peoples-Jones and 2 firsts. Hi.
Wow. Crazy.
Wow. Oh, we got one last one here. As a flex, full PPR, Christian Watson, Damian Pierce, Chris Olave. I'm going Olave, Watson, Pierce.
Olave.
Bang, bang.
Those last questions, we know like that we get the wrong answer. Every last question. It's do the opposite of what we say.
Of course.
Just kidding.
All right. Good luck. Hopefully you guys get those W's. Landon and I will be here live Tuesday evening around 8:30 if you want to come by and hang out with the squad, get you right for week 14 waivers and everything else under the sun. But good luck today. Enjoy the football, and we'll see you on Tuesday.